All right, I think I'm ready. Can I start? Okay. So, hello Moscow. My name is Akira Matsuda. This is my first visit to Russia, actually. So I'm having so much fun here so far. So thank you very much for having me for this amazing conference. Thank you very much. As I think Steve introduced, this is my name in Japanese. So actually, I'm yet another Matt in the Ruby team. So I'm Matt. No, I'm Akira, and these are my accounts on internet. I'm a Matsuda. I develop Ruby and Rails. I'm a committer of Ruby and Rails, and I'm from Japan. So my topic today is about modern Rails plugins. To be honest, I don't exactly know what modern Rails plugins mean, but anyway, I'm going to show you some of my recent works on the gems that I'm working on, and I'm going to introduce some ways of thinking and patterns and tips to you, right? So these are things I'm going to talk today. Firstly, dealing with frameworks through adapters. This is my first topic. So firstly, as an example, I'm going to introduce Kaminari's case, right? Because Kaminari is, I guess, one of the most well-known piece of my software that I wrote, right? So Kaminari is a Rails plugin that adds some pagination methods like page and per to your models, and it provides some view helpers for your action views, like paginate or something. So, and it supports some multiple object relation mappers and web frameworks. It adds some methods to both models and views, so it really adds some features in M and V layers. And because of that, it's implemented as a Rails engine. Actually, Kaminari is one of the very first generation Rails engine, as far as I know. As far as I know, Devise is the only Rails engine plugin that existed before Kaminari, right? And as I said, Kaminari supports multiple frameworks, as shown in this list. It initially supported only the default Rails stack, Active Record and Action View. Then gradually added supporting frameworks like this. So, how Kaminari loads the frameworks? Kaminari doesn't define any dependency to them from the gem spec. It just requires these frameworks from the Ruby code, then loads the Kaminari adapter for them if loaded, if the framework was found. So here's an example of it. Here's an example of how Kaminari loads Mongoid adapter. It firstly tries to require Mongoid, and if Mongoid was found, then it loads like Mongoid extension, right? It kind of works, but it's such a nasty code. I think it's just, ugly, and there are some problems listed here. And I think the biggest problem of this code is that it takes so much time to try to run through all these like matrix in Travis CI. So these are the platforms that Community supports. It supports Ruby 1.9.3, 2.1.2.2, 2.3, and 2.4. JRuby 1.7.9.1. And it supports Active Record 3, 3.1, 3.2, 4.0, 4.1, 4.2, and etc. So this seriously is a waste of the community's computing resource to test through all these metrics. And actually, we build 110 jobs per each push to GitHub. We run something like this for each push. You know, it's such a waste of Travis resource. So I decided to split up the huge monolithic gem into the core library and the adapters. So this is the structure of next generation Kaminari. These are all separate gems, Kaminari core and DB adapters and view adapters. For example, if you want to bundle adapters for Active Record and Sinatra, your gem file will be like this. Here's an example of bundling Mongoid adapter and Action View adapter. And here's how you can bundle Action View and Active Record adapters, which is pretty much the default Rails stack. I mean, 99% of you will be using these adapters, right? So it's a little bit complex to configure this. Should be able to be done a little more easily. So instead of this, Kaminari 1 allows you to bundle like this. So gem Kaminari means gem Kaminari action, Active Record and Action View. It's implemented like this. Kaminari gem is just a meta package to Active Record and Action View, just like Rails gem or RSpec gem, you know. So this way, Kaminari gem keeps compatibility for your gem file, right? So you don't have to change your gem file when updating your Kaminari gem to 1.0. And today I got a question from someone. What if I need a pagination library for other frameworks that Kaminari doesn't support now, like Hanami? So it's a lot easier now. Just create Kaminari-Hanami gem. I mean, just an adapter. And if you've done it, please let me know. I'm happy to put it under the Kaminari organization, and I'm happy to add you to the Kaminari team. So please do this. So this is about Kaminari 1.0. It's coming soon, and right before 1.0 release, I think I'm going to move the repository from my account to the organization, then release 1.0. We already created the organization because, you know, I've been maintaining Kaminari for like 5-6 years, and I found it very hard. It's a tough work actually to maintain a gem. I create gems initially just to solve my problems that I hit for my applications. But maintaining gem is like listening to other people's story and solving other people's problem, right? It's for me, it's not always fun thing to do. So, but if you need to maintain a software, you need maintainers, just like Nobu for Ruby or Raphael for Rails. And it's a very lucky thing. We have Yuki in the Kaminari team as the chief issue triage officer. Yeah, and he is the one who created Did You Mean gem, which is installed as one of the default gems since Ruby, I think 2.3. I guess you know what I'm talking about, but Did You Mean is this feature. It automatically finds a typo and tells you, did you mean something? So anyway, this is, again, the plan of Kaminari 1. It's coming soon, and we're maintaining Kaminari-something gems as a team, and we welcome your contributions. All right. So this was my first topic about the modern gem patterns. And the next topic is autumn magic. What I mean by autumn magic is just bundle and play. Like, I don't like plugins that lets the users configure or lets the users like write some code before using the plugin. I mean, like you need to include this module. You need to like declare something in your models. I don't like that styles. So let me show you an example of how I do in my gem. This is the gem I'm going to show you, Active Decorator. This provides a decorator layer to Rails apps. The decorator is named, is placed under app decorators directory. It's just a pure Ruby module, and each decorator is mixed into model instances via module extend, right? Actually, there is a like similar kind of Rails plugin. It's called Draper. Actually, when I was looking for a decorator library, I firstly found this, which works like this. You can call .decorate method in your controller to decorate a model, and you can like you need to like declare something like delegate all in a decorator, and a decorator is extends from Draper decorators class, and so anyway, this is how it works. So firstly, I considered about using it, but I didn't like Draper's like these API designs and implementations. I mean, basic designs. I mean, pretty much everything about Draper. So instead of using Draper, I decided to build my own decorator library. Yeah, I didn't even send a pull request to change Draper to the way I like, because I mean, actually, I like I love sending pull requests to other people's products. So, of course, I usually do this first, but not always. So this is, I think, when I do send pull requests or to fork or to build my own. When you just found a tiny bug and you could fix it, just send a pull request. If you basically liked the product, but you wanted to add something like a big feature to it, maybe you need to fork. And you didn't like its design or philosophy, and you need to like recreate everything, you'd better start creating your own. And when to just raise an issue and file an issue to GitHub issue. Basically, please don't. Please write some code instead, filling in a text area, all right? So anyway, I didn't like Draper's design and philosophy, so I built my own. I'm sorry, Steve. I'm sorry. I don't want to offend you, but I guess the gem is not what you designed, right?
I was going to tweet that I agree with that slide.
Right. I guess Steve just used to be one of the maintainers, right? Yeah. So, anyway, I said, a decorator is a view helper, essentially. And Draper decorates in the controller layer, which I think is wrong. Decorators should be automatically enabled in view files, just like helpers. You know, helpers automatically works in your views without like include something or extend something. So I want decorators to work in the same way without explicit .decorate call, right? So this is the requirement of my gem. Decorators should not be enabled in models or controllers, but it should be enabled in views automatically without explicitly calling something, right? How can I achieve this? Active Decorator achieves this with these three techniques: conventions and callbacks, monkey patches. So first comes convention. A decorator module is placed under app decorators directory and named in this convention. So the system can automatically find it without any configuration. You know, it's just the Rails way, which you're very familiar with, right? Callbacks. Instead of letting user to like include something, we can do it in a Railtie in a plugin. Of course, you know it. This is also a very common technique. There's nothing special here. So I think a very truly unique characteristic of Active Decorator is the way it monkey patches the core classes. What Active Decorator monkey patches and how it monkey patches, or like this. So firstly, we want to decorate objects that are passed from controllers to views. Also, we want to decorate collections. Like user all, right? We want all of, each instances of the relation to be decorated, okay? But we don't want to fire the query when decorating, right? So we're doing this in between controllers and views. There's a method called viewAssigns method. So the trick is easy. Active decorator extends this method with this module, and it extends the result of viewAssigns and decorate each object inside. It's easy, but what about collections? As I explained, we kind of want to do this. I'm sorry the markup is terrible, but it's just an example. So we want to decorate each object automatically. So could we just extend the viewAssigns monkey patch like this? If the object is a active record relation, then call its each and decorate. It's doable in this way, but it's not good. It breaks the principle of less side effect, POLS. Yeah, in my opinion, Rails plugins should avoid such side effects. In the previous code, it fires active record queries when we call the viewAssigns method, which is a serious side effect. So my solution to this problem is double monkey patching. We monkey patch the viewAssigns method to extend active record relation dynamically. Let me show you an example. The code looks like this. If this is the decorator module. So it extends the decorator object, the given object with relations, something called relation decorator if the object is active record relation. And the relation decorator just extends the relations records method to decorate each ingredient only when the records method was called, right? So this made this possible. Instead of Draper's this. Do you see the difference? So in Draper, we needed to add these like special Draper-ish methods. But the active decorator version adds nothing like these. It's just a well-known Rails code, right? So that's it. So this is how Active Decorator adds some features on Rails applications automatically. The next topic is using modern Rails features. I'm going to talk about Active Record enum, which was added since Rails 4.1 by DHH. What Active Record enum does is it persists values into DB in integer, and this provides some human-readable methods and scopes. Active Record is a DSL for model for doing this. Well, I basically like this feature from DHH. We actually very often hit this use case in real-world applications. And this actually just works. So I like it. But it feels like something is missing. Something is that when we define enums in the applications, we very often want to define state machines as well. And in such case, we were using some kind of state machine plugins, right? Like acts as state machine or state machines. So let me ask you, who uses these plugins? Who still uses them? All right, thank you. By the way, did you know that Rails once tried to merge acts as state machine into its code base? Here's the commit. It was done back in 2008. We merged AASM gem into active model. But we gave up and reverted everything. In this commit comment, it says we're going to do it eventually, get it done before 3.0 is final. But this never actually happened. Right? I guess the reason of this is because the state machine gem was too huge to maintain, to add and to maintain, too huge and too complex. So it was difficult to merge and maintain. I mean, it's a very heavy in design. So they had to implement everything, like providing DSL and defining Ruby methods and scopes, like holding values inside objects and persisting it to DBs, etc., etc. To show you how huge the plugin is, I brought the results of the 3 commands inside the AASM gem. It's this huge. There's so many .rb files. And here is the same thing from state machine gem. You see, there are too much files. So you probably cannot read this, but don't read. Feel. I just wanted to show you that both libraries are so huge and complex. So one day I had to implement a state machine on my Rails application. For Rails 4, which already has the enum, right? So I came up with this idea. What if I build a state machine feature on top of active record enum? It's like a kind of same thing, but something to add. We need to add something on it. What active record enum provides are like this. It's a very good syntax defining key and value pairs, and it persists the DB, persists the integer values to the DB, and defines some like query methods and data manipulation methods, right? So, to be a state machine plugin, what we needed to add on it was like state transitioning method and state checks and callbacks. I have 10 more minutes. Is that right? Yeah. So that means half of the state machine features are already implemented in active record. So I thought I could build a state machine library that I need in less code. So I tried my idea. So I made a gem, which is called stateful enum, which is placed here on GitHub. This extends active record's enum method to take a block and this uses what I like about active record enum and rewrite something that I don't like about active record enum. What I like about active record enum is its DB design, and what I didn't like about it was method names. About method names, this example is taken from the source codes RDoc. So to update the status, you need to call, to change the status to active, you need to call active method, or you need to call archived method. But I think these are wrong. Method names should be verbs, right? So a method to change the status to active should be called activate instead of active. What I liked about active record enum was its DB design. I like persisting values into DB in integers. So I made it on top of active record enum. And the code was actually incredibly short. Here's the size comparison. So it's like 200 lines of code, and it's done. It's amazingly short because I didn't need to build everything, like DSL and persisting values and creating scopes, etc. So I'd say stateful enum stands on shoulders of active record enum. Right? Actually, the main file, machine.rb, is just one file. It's only 86 lines of code. So in order to build your new Rails plugin, I recommend you to use Rails built-in code, if it's possible, rather than creating everything from scratch. To write less code. Okay? It's easier to create and easier to maintain. It's just like less than 100 lines of code. Right? So, write less code. The next topic is using modern Ruby features. So what I call modern Ruby is basically 2-3 generations. Ruby and Rails supports only 2 or 3 generations. So we're developing Ruby 2.4, and we're still supporting 2.3 and 2.2. We make only security fixes on 2.1, and less than these versions are not supported, so please don't use them. Right? 5 minutes, okay. This is the Rails versions. So we're not supporting 4.0 or 3. Okay, I'm going to skip this. So what will we get if we stop supporting all Rubies? We can use new features of Ruby, like, for example, these ones: module prepend, keyword arguments, refinements, module include as public methods, like etc. Kernel itself, super method, hash dig. So let me now focus on a relatively recent Ruby feature called module prepend. It's an alternative to alias method chain in Rails, but we've just removed alias method chain from Rails. So we're encouraging everyone to use module prepend instead. Okay. So here's an actual example of using modern Ruby feature called refinements. Okay. I'm going to show you the example from Action Args Gem, which is a plugin makes your Rails code like this to look like this, very Ruby-ish, right? Action Args implements this feature using refinements internally. It defines a module that refines action controller, then uses the module only in the plugin internal. So users will never able to access these like ugly monkey patches. So this adds some weird methods to action controller base from Rails, like extract method arguments from params, and it uses inside the plugin by using method. But this weird method will never be exposed to the users. So it keeps the whole Rails world very clean, right? So this way you can define purely plugin private methods, right? I don't know why, but this is not very widely used in other plugins. So please try this. It's actually a very nice way to make less side effects plugins, okay? Yeah. And the next topic is about Rails engines. So Rails engine is a Rails plugin. It contains whole model, views, and controllers. So the typical usage of Rails plugin, Rails engines is probably the mount the engine to your Rails application. Actually, I created one like this to manipulate database schema from browser. But it's like technically not very much interesting. So I made a product to investigate a new usage of Rails plugin, engines, named Motorhead. Thank you. Motorhead is an application feature prototyping engine, right? So the concept is that to like bind a whole new feature of your application into one Rails engine and mount that engine onto your application. So the directory structures comes like this. So if you want to add your feature 1 and feature 2 your application, the Motorhead version looks like this. App engines feature 1, engines feature 2, and each of these engines has feature 1 controller, feature 1 views, feature 2 controllers, feature 2 views. Advantage of this structure is that it's easier to edit the code without conflicting with other members of your team. I think I don't have enough time to run through all these slides, so let me skip these. Yeah, I created this last year, October, and 2 months later, Lemmy has passed away. So this is just a coincidence. So anyway, sorry, this is my last topic, from omakase to economy. As Matt mentioned in his keynote, Rails is omakase. But, what it means is Rails is shipped with ZHH's strong opinionated stack of softwares. But I want to expand this a little bit more. Because we don't always want to eat everything in the omakase course. That's usually too much. Okay? So rather than including everything in Rails core or making everything customizable, I'd like to propose to provide alternatives to the default Rails stacks. As Sean said, Rails became mature enough. So, but sometimes we miss Rails 1 simplicity and Rails 1 speed, right? So rather than creating huge gems for like active record alternative or action view alternative, they could be nicer if we had small alternative parts, like just like faster blank. Faster blank, was that? So in order to enable this, we need to establish public APIs for each API and encourage the community to create alternatives. There are a few ideas. I'm going to skip these, but like we can create simpler I18N, or we can create simpler, faster routing engine, or template resolver, URL4, etc., etc. Or we can create, we can make active record models not to create that much objects. I mean, I'm not gonna, I don't mean to troll at Sean. Actually, like Sean's, I really love Sean's work, but it's, in fact, active record became heavier than active record 1. I'm sad about that. And I think we can improve that by providing Sean's version of active record and some lighter Rails 1-ish alternative. Right? So this is the idea. I'd like to propose some like APIs and some alternative Rails lightweight components. I do not yet have any like actual product, I'm sorry, but I'm going to work on them soon. So I'd like to let you choose instead of everything is omakase. That style is called okonomi in Japanese. Okay, I'm going to finish it soon. So anyway, we can make Rails faster and simpler this way. Okay. So this is the summary. Kaminari 1.0 is coming soon, and please follow the Rails way and Ruby way. Keep yourself and keep your code up to date, and to keep your software maintainable and sustainable. Thank you very much.
Здрасте, спасибо. А есть человек, кто переведет ему вопрос? У меня есть переводчик? Ну, я хотел бы на русском задать все-таки. Я имею право? Можно задавать, да. Ну, вот касаемо декораторов и вообще этого паттерна, я удивлен, почему разработчики так нацелены именно на view layer, ну, наш слой. То есть почему не предполагается, что, ну, это касается и драпера, и вот то, что ты представил, почему не предполагается, что мы можем где-то в другом месте это использовать, например, в каком-то сервисе, ну, или еще где-то. То есть не обязательно использовать рельсовый view. Почему это так?
Do you mean like APIs. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't really get your question, but
Драпер и твой, значит, ну, и твой аналогичный джем, да, предполагают, что эти объекты будут использоваться в слое view, да, то есть vir, b файле и так далее. Да, но почему не предполагается, что мы где-то это, ну, в других частях каких-то будем использовать в наших классах, например, в сервисах, где мы это отдельно, ну, не используя view, где-то будем там бэкграунд-воркере, где-то, ну, к примеру.
So I don't know about Draper, but my library is designed as a view helper, essentially. It's an alternative to app helpers, something helper.rb. I really didn't like these helper.rb files because it kind of looks like non-object-oriented language. Like you need to pass in the model object and use it inside the function. So it's like a PHP or something. I didn't like this design. So I wanted to create something better, something Ruby-ish, instead of...
Rails-ish, not Ruby-ish. И еще такой вопрос, почему всегда можно только один драпер создать? Почему у нас декораторы только в одном экземпляре? Почему? Все считают, что, мне кажется, что в разных частях нашего приложения мы захотим иметь разные презентеры одного и того же объекта. Для воркера одно, во view другое. В другом контроллере мы захотим третий. Почему всегда один? Меня тоже удивляет и насчет драпера, и насчет вас. Можно?
Oh, I don't know, but Draper provides a way to like explicitly call the decorator's name, I guess. So you can choose. You can like change the class, I think.
The last question.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Ilya. I'm from TopTal.com. First of all, I want to say you welcome to Moscow. We hope it's a very nice city for you. And I want to say great thanks for your work on this jam. It's very helpful. And my question about Rails engines. And as you know, we have two kinds of Rails engines, isolated engines and not isolated. And you know, some time ago I found and I met a little problem that sometimes it can be difficult to use Kaminari Gem with isolated Rails engines. And my question is, how does Kaminari work with isolated engines now, if you can remember, of course. If not, so my question is not actually. So maybe you can remember something about that. Thank you.
Probably you're talking about the URL helpers, right? Like you need to add main app dot to every URL helper. Yeah, that's a problem. I think that's a regression in Rails 4.2 or something. I don't like that change. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Akira.
Thank you.